Okay, so we're at 8Q. So open corners first. Okay. Okay. Interesting direction of play. It doesn't feel like white's going to get a lot out of this because white should get thickness and there's a high stone canceling out white's thickness, but we'll see how it goes. Okay. I kind of like here, here, here. It just feels like a little bit better shape, but it's still fine. Yeah, I like this result for black. I don't like this for white. Probably just a normal situation is fine. Yeah, probably. I think if you don't like this, maybe just go here on this move. So we're single digit Q, so I think we can learn the Tanuki to the start point. The AI says that the 3/4 enclosure is bigger than responding to the start point, and there's lots of Josekis that we can play right here. So I would say if you're worried about black's combination, then probably you should go here and learn the Joseki. But here it looks like you're afraid of black's position, but white was the one who kicked and pretty much gave black the combination. So this feels like we're playing try to stop everything my opponent's getting and get nothing myself. So I really don't like it for white. But it's not like a super big mistake or anything. I just think black has a better opening. Yep. This is very slow. Like white's not a weak, white's kind of a weak group, but it's a little too early to attack this position. It's very out. Black's very happy here. So if black just goes and gets a big move, I kind of like black. It feels like white's a step behind. So there's no reason to play this one. And if we think about the basics, are we playing defense? No, we have a base. Are we playing offense? Kind of, but this group's a little bit hard to attack when it's out so far. Not impossible. Like potentially we can go like right here or something. And then are we playing big move? This is clearly not the biggest move because the top side's still open. So it's just not the biggest move. So I think this one's a little bit slow, but okay. Wide approach. Okay. So we're playing on this side. So this says that we're putting emphasis on the attack because technically the top side has more potential than the left side for both players. So if we're just looking at big move, this would be the one because directional play. So when you play here, I'm expecting you to attack this white group. It means you're putting more emphasis on the left side instead of the top side. And the reason I point this out is because I see a lot of players respond this way automatically without actually considering the pincer or other Joseki choices. And I really want you thinking about direction of play for both players. I really want you thinking about direction of play before you choose a Joseki. I think it's very important. This is not Joseki. Or it's not the normal Joseki. I don't like this move. Yeah, I don't like this move. That's an unnecessary exchange. If you wanted to play this, this is the minimum you should get. And this is slightly good for white, I think. But it's the Joseki that I tell double the GQs to play because it's very simple and easy. So this is the minimum you should get. So if you compare that to this, this is much, much better for white. So I think black doesn't know this Joseki. Yeah, see here or here. Is black here? Is uroschhh here?
Nope, he is not.
Okay.
The other
So
player is here, Jack.
okay, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure that black doesn't know the Joseki. I don't really want to look it up right now because I'm limited on time. But this is not the normal move. So my leading theory is that black doesn't know the Joseki. And so my tip is if you don't know a Joseki, and your opponent plays a Joseki you don't know, always look it up after the game, of course, but during the game, you have to make a decision, right? So I always say, if you don't know a Joseki, take a local loss and just stay strong. So here, if you don't know it and you try to figure it out on your own and your opponent does know it, it's a very good chance that you're going to end up in a very bad position. However, if you don't know it, then take the minimum deficit that you can. So what you do is you play defense first. So in this case, I would say, okay, I have a cutting point. So I fix my cutting point. White has cutting point, they fix their cutting point, like here or here. They would fix it somehow. And if they go here, then it's pretty pretty interesting to go that way. But even if they go there, even if you do that, let's say you don't know the Joseki, even if you do that, I mean, it's still better than the game where you just lost the stone. So just even playing this one, just defense first. Whenever you're in a position you don't understand, defense first. So what's the most important thing? Cutting points and bases. So I fix my cutting point, they fix their cutting point, and now I take my base. Okay, and that's how we arrive at the Joseki that I told my double-digit Q students to play. Is you play defense first and just get a base, and you're fine. Now this position for you is done. Even if it's a little good for white or whatever, it's fine. It's not that many points. You can make it up in the middle game quite easily. As long as you're solid and safe, it's a lot better. But as soon as you play out this variation, and especially with this follow-up, this is not good for black at all, because this is very good for white. White's got a lot more efficient territory and base. Black's still attackable, and this is not Sente. So white can take the base on the left side at some point in the game, maybe not right now, but at some point in the game. Black can pressure this group, so this group's not even safe. And you spent so many moves here, and you have like 3 points, maybe 4 points, and you're not even alive. So this is a very slow result for black. So I would say this is not good. It's this is not a good way to handle a Joseki that you don't know. I wouldn't be trying to go through my opponent's position like this. So you have to be very careful here when you get in a Joseki that you don't know. This is very slow by white. So you're here. So what was the reasoning for this move? Big move, offense, defense, big move. What are you doing?
Honestly, it's probably more of just an instinctual move.
All right,
we played it. We did play this game fairly fast. I don't think either one of us for the longest time broke under 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a fast-paced
empty triangle.
Yeah.
One thing that I really want you to do is drill yourself, and this you can do in your own game reviews. Look for times that you broke this drill. Drill yourself to make every single move do one of 3 things: defense, offense, or big move. If every single move can do one of those 3 things, even if it's a little bit slow, as long as it has value, then your game will be much, much faster. But this move, if you think about it, it doesn't attack black very well. It doesn't build that much of the influence. If you just compare it to a 1-point jump, it doesn't build that much influence. You're already alive. So if you just compare it to, let's say, a big move, boom. Would you rather have this extension or an empty triangle right here? And the extension looks better, right? So whenever you're saying, I'm going to play this move, and this is something you do in reviews, you ask yourself, is this move better than the big move? Okay, so whenever you're saying what's the biggest move on the board, you play a big move and you compare it to the move you play. Because we always need to ask ourselves, can I Chinooki? Can I Chinooki? Can I Chinooki? Can I just go play a big move? And if you're going to die, then of course you can't. If you have a cutting point, of course you can. If you don't have a base, of course you can. But here, you're completely alive. So why aren't you playing the big move? You played here, so it must mean you're doing something before going to play the big move. And usually that's attacking. So you're saying, okay, I'm going to attack my opponent before playing the big move. That's very profitable if you're right. The theory stands that I'm going to get something for free and then go play the big move. That's a positive exchange rate. It's very good. So when you ask yourself, is this a good attack? Well, does it take the base and does it surround? And you want to compare that to something here where you take the base. This is probably more of an effective attack than the empty triangle. And then you also ask, I wanted to surround. Well, is this the surrounding move or is this the surrounding move? Or is this the surrounding move? Or is this the surrounding move? You can start comparing it to other moves and say which one's the most efficient to do that. And again, game reviews, when you think, once you narrow it down to, I want to do this, then you just have to think, okay, was this the best way to do that? And if you understand, what you want to do, then it becomes very easy to determine if your move was good at that thing or not. But what you don't want to do is play on instinct, where you're just like, it felt right. Well, no, you really got to understand, why did I play this move? What is the goal? Did I accomplish it efficiently? Are you attacking? Did you attack it efficiently? Are you defending? Did you defend it efficiently? And you want, when you review your games, you really want to look for that stuff. So this actually is a very bad exchange for you, because this move doesn't do anything for you. There's the alarm to go to the lesson. But this base does a lot for black. It fixes the position, and now he's alive. He can Tanuki. So you actually pushed black into making a base, and that's a bad exchange for you. So you want to get rid of moves like that. So now you're playing defense. Probably you want to run away. Something like this is a little bit faster for this group, or just Tanuki. I would say probably basics would tell us to defend, but as you get stronger, you want to be as greedy as you can. So if you're confident in your attack and defense, you can Tanuki. But basics wise, until like probably Dawn level, you would want to defend this. Defense first until Dawn level, when you can read, and when you can read a lot. Like right now, you should be practicing 5-move reading, and then once you get good at it, then you can Tanuki weak groups. But right now, I'd say defending the weak group, I actually really like. Basics wise, it's pretty good. But does this defend the weak group? Does it get you a base? Not really. But does it run away? Not really. Does it threaten black in any way? Not really. So I think it's inefficient defense. I just want to run away. Like, just 1-point jump is very simple, but probably does more, simply because it gets eye space, it gets you out further to the center. It's slow, but it does its job. And then we just got to think, okay, how do I do that more efficiently?
I think what was on my mind when I made that next move was more, I felt confident I could get out to the center and my group wasn't going to die there. And I didn't want black to play up and get the entire left side.
Why are you worried about the left side when the right side's bigger?
I don't know. It's probably just more, sometimes I get narrow-sighted in games.
I think you have a habit of trying to stop, like this whole Joseki choice, trying to stop the bottom, and now you're trying to stop the left. I think you have a habit of trying to stop your opponent's stuff too much. And when you're in the middle game, you don't want to think, I need to stop my opponent's position. You need to think, I need to play on the largest position, on the largest framework. So if it's your opponent's, then you can stop it. But if it's yours, you don't need to be stopping your opponent's 10 points. You need to be building your 20 or 30 points. So instead of thinking, I want to stop this position, you need to think, what's the biggest framework? What's the biggest position? And then play on it. If it's your opponent's, fine. If it's yours, fine. But you need to be on the biggest one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you say, I'm going to stop my opponents here, it's saying that it's bigger than the right side. And that's false. So we don't need to just look at your opponents. You need to look at everyone's. So global thinking. Okay. So he specifically took your eye space on the left and is threatening to surround you. He went even 4th line to get around you faster, and we're going to Tanuki. It's very brave. Probably at this point, I would start playing defense. So this is probably a little bit brave. Okay, but he didn't follow it up. So I think for black, you specifically played a move right here. So this move is not a big move. There's no points. So it has to be an attack. If your opponent ignores you, you need to punish. If you don't punish, you wasted a move. You shouldn't. If your attack is not going to have a follow-up, then you should have went and played a big move. So for black, I think this is a very passive to just play a big move here and not punish if your opponent ignores you. And if you said that, I didn't realize my attack was Gote, well, then you're playing too fast. It means you attacked without thinking about follow-ups. You attacked without actually realizing if it was Sente or not. You need to think about your moves before you play. So if you play a move, your opponent ignores and you realize it's a mistake.
I can put my headphones on in a minute if you want.
Okay. So if you attack and your opponent ignores you and you realize, it was Gote, that's a very bad mental habit. It's a mental mistake. It means you didn't check that it was Sente before you played. So that's the mistake by black. Right side. If we're going for influence, I think shoulder hit's more effective. If we're going for invasion, just 3rd line here, or just approach. This one kind of feels like I don't exactly know where to go, so I'm just gonna place a stone on the right. So I'm not sure about the follow-ups here. So I usually recommend shoulder hits or approach, or just wedge. Capping moves are also something I recommend, but I think shoulder hits I think it does more what you want it to do. I think this one kind of just feels like in the center and unsure of what to do. This is a bad shape. So this is kind of if we call this the shoulder, where it's closer to the center, then we would call this the armpit, where it's closer to the edge, and armpits stink. The reason this is a bad shape is because it can lead to a 2-on-2, which leads to a double hane. So it's bad liberties on you. It also gives black forcing moves. So even if you push from behind and get 4-on-4, you see how strong black's getting. So it actually is not a good attacking move. So it'd be better to be one space away, shape-wise, because it gives them less forcing moves against your shape, and you have better liberties. However, I would push them on this side, because the black can make a 2-space on extension on this side, but not on the bottom side. So if you're going to attack, I would attack from here. And if you're going to try to surround, then surround or jump, something like that. So I think this is both wrong direction and wrong shape. I feel like this is a common thing that it looks more powerful than it is, because yeah, I took the eye space, but you also gave me a lot of forcing moves against this stone, so it doesn't feel good. Yeah, look how strong black shape is now. It doesn't feel like your attack was very successful. You get like 4 or 5 points for it. Okay. You're really optimistic about this weak group over here, because he's got this stone and this stone now against this group. You know, maybe we should go defend it. Weak groups first. So yeah, I think defend your weak groups, because yes, we wanted Tanuki as much as possible, and I mentioned that okay, you wanted Tanuki it and trust your reading at Dawn level, but now I think you're taking it too far, because look how thick you're making black, and this weak group. Where do you think it's going to go as soon as black plays one surrounding move? Boom. This weak group has to go this direction or make 2 eyes. But now you've built this giant wall with your moves. You built this giant wall for black, and you're still ignoring the weak group. So I think you're ignoring it too much. So in my mind, it's better to defend too much than to ignore too much. Because if we defend too much, we just lose a couple big moves. But if we ignore too much, our whole group dies. So it's better to defend too much and work on defending less than it is to ignore too much and try to like figure out at what point do I die, and that's the point I want to defend, because that's more reading intensive. It's a lot more fun and powerful to have a lot more points, but it's a lot more reading intensive, and it can be very difficult to play that way. It's not the way I recommend. It's definitely a way to learn, but I think it's more efficient to learn defense first than it is to learn reading and then defense, so you don't die. You're still tanuking it. Oh, black really needs to attack this group. Like, white's being way too greedy. We need to punish. We got to punish this. If we're gonna play this position, this is saying that white's dead and mine's bigger than yours. That's bad shape. Just cap. At this point, white actually may be dead. White may be dead here. that's a possible continuation. So okay, so I'm actually running low on time, so I'm that's optimistic. Why third line? This is super sealed. Third line. Play. I think black. When you go on your opponent's side, start on the third line. Fourth lines are when we're doing something special, but third lines are basic. Third lines are much easier to make eyes and bases. Fourth line is special, and I don't think you understand what the special is. So third line is right more than it's wrong. So just go for the third line. 3-3 for sure here. It's so much easier. But probably just a reduction. If you think this is dead, you're winning. So just reduction. This should die. If it doesn't die, it's life and death. So now we're not confident in our kill. So we're going back to make sure it's dead. So we just passed and lost the point. Okay. That's a lot of cunning points. I think the life and death. This is a very bad exchange. We have to peep. This forces white to get the tiger's mouth, which gives 2 eyes. So black definitely needs life and death. Go
Yeah,
problems.
as soon as black
Absolutely.
made that move, I was very thankful that he
Yeah.
let me play the tiger's mouth.
This is go problems. Absolutely go problems. And playing too fast probably, but definitely go problems. The entire game is riding on this group dying. Why are we playing this move? This has nothing to do with the eyes. So absolutely go problems. I would be taking my time here. I would be reading every forcing move that I could. The entire game's riding on this. This one is also a wasted move. There's nothing there. So that looks a lot better. So yeah, definitely go problems for black. White, I would say probably you're too greedy. Defense first. Like try to make sure you don't die. If your groups are dying a lot in your games, then you're basing the game too much on reading, which is too risky at this level. Defense first, and you'll probably start losing games on points because your moves will be too slow. But if you stop dying, then all you have to do is learn how to play big moves efficiently, which is get rid of these moves. And it's a lot safer and more reliable win rates for this level, at least until dawn level. And then you can work on the reading intensive stuff. But right now, you still need like thousands of go problems. You have to get your reading to dawn level. And when I say dawn level, I mean like 10 to 20 moves, being like reading out this whole left side and making the claim that you can live is way too much. I think at AQ, it's way too much. I think the life and death is not good enough to deliver this group. Reliably, I say that, but I mean reliably, which means you are confident that 9 out of 10 times this group will live. 9 out of 10 opponents, this group will live because you have the reading to back it up. If you're not, I would say you can't ignore it this much. You need a more reliable game. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, and I think both players can learn about move purpose, review your games, and find moves that don't have much meaning. So if you compare it to like big move or offense or defense and efficiency, make sure it has a purpose and does that purpose well. So like this one, you had a purpose, but you were like, I'm stopping my opponent. I'm like, okay, let's compare that to the big move. Is that bigger? No, then don't do it. Right. So just make sure every single. So white, I could spot at least 2. Black has spotted a couple, but I think black has to work on attack and defense more. So I think black's attack and defense is definitely what cost them the game. Him or her. I think the attack and defense, so go problems and maybe playing too fast. Yeah, so hopefully that was helpful.